Hi there. This is Jo Zuleika, founder of Women Who Lead with Heart, the Facebook group, coming on for another free live training. And tonight's topic is a juicy one. It is toxic conflict at work, especially with your boss, and how to navigate it. This topic called me because so many people that I'm coming into contact with, either in my group, in LinkedIn, with friends and family, so many people are experiencing this type of absolutely draining, toxic conflict and need help. So let's dig in. This could be just about toxic conflict in general, but I really focus on the work environment because it's so triggering and we're so exposed there. So let me just kind of explain the dynamic and have you tell me what resonates for you. So when we're at work, we are demonstrating so many of our sort of self-actualizing qualities and characteristics that are important to us as a human being. We are demonstrating our competence with something. We're demonstrating our aptitude, our intelligence, our ambition, and we have these deeply held needs that are either intensely personal or deeply rooted socially, and I'll explain those in terms of what we hope to get by working. Work helps us feel significant, like we're doing something larger than ourselves, that we're of contribution. And it also meets the very real needs of ourselves and our families. Many of us cite the reason why we stay at bad jobs with really tough bosses is that we need the safety. So there's a sense of stability that work gives us, and safety in financial stability and income, in health insurance, and in sort of our own self-concept, feeling like working outside the home gives us some sense of identity, of self-esteem, of providing for our family. And so there are many things that are exposed with us going to work and being out there at work. And when we're exposed, we're potentially vulnerable, and we can really trigger some anxieties, especially when things aren't going well. So when I talk about toxic conflict with your boss, the reason why it's so triggering is because there's a power dynamic there. You can have conflict with a coworker, with a friend, with a family member, but it's really the conflict with a boss that can trigger this powerlessness dynamic that is potentially very hard to navigate, draining, and damaging to ourselves. So if you have the experience of being at work and feeling undermined or criticized or unsupported or misunderstood or unrecognized, all of that type of lack of support, lack of acknowledgement, lack of being seen and valued and really feeling integrated into an organization and valued by an individual that's important, like your boss, can activate these terrible defensive reactions. If you're feeling conflict at work with your boss, you'll often find resentment and anger, a sense of disassociating or bowing out, just getting really passive, which can lead to sort of like a flat sense of purpose or a lack of worth or worthiness. You can just feel plain hurt, emotionally hurt. You can feel negative competition arising, sort of like elbows out, me first. Or you can fall into sort of a really draining dynamic of hustling to prove yourself, right? Striving to prove that you're good enough, that your results matter, that you are essential and important and significant. Now, all of these reactions are totally normal, but they are defensive reactions and they take a lot of energy. The cost to us is high when we are constantly in that reactive state of resentment, of hurt, of emotional pain, of comparison, of feeling negative competition or negative towards our coworkers. And it takes a toll on us, right? That's what I'm hearing from so many women in my group, is it just is a drain. And that toll can display not just out on yourself, but on your network, on your friends, on your family, on your spouse. If you're the type of person that comes home every day from work and debriefs at great length about your terrible boss, chances are there are people in your life that are also suffering the story of your terrible boss. Do you know what I mean? Like people who want to support you, but also feel like there's a lot of story in there and a lot of angst and energy that is pent up and is serving no one. So that kind of obsessive thinking and obsessive dwelling on a negative dynamic at work, it can make you sick. It can rob you of sleep. It can make you churn with emotion. It can give you a stomach ache. It can give you a migraine. This is the type of toxic response to stress that we absolutely need to monitor, because it is going to rob you of what's potentially here for you, all the good parts of work that are here for you. What you're experiencing in that place is the opposite of what you want to be experiencing at work, right? A sense of joy and creativity, of risk that comes from a place of courage and innovation, an idea that you can be living your purpose. You want to be having a vision for your life of something bigger than you that you can contribute to. You want to work on systems. You want to make things better. You want to see the results of your, not labor so much, but your talent and your attention and your intention, so that you can feel like it's fun, that you can be a creative creator in work, in your life, making something better. That's the work that you crave. That's the dynamic that you seek. And you never are capable of that particular dynamic of being in creativity, in courageous purpose, in your authentic sense of purpose, having a vision for your life, working with a sense of innovation and fun. None of that exists when you're in fear. And what I was describing at the top of this talk, the undermining power that can come from a really negative dynamic with your boss or a coworker, is going to put you in a fear state. And all you're going to be doing is trying to hustle to keep yourself safe and sane, to protect yourself. And it's kind of what I call turtle shelling in. It's the opposite of taking creative risk and the opposite of expressing yourself. It's sort of like recoiling, retracting, making yourself small to protect yourself from these emotions that are so toxic and that you don't want to feel. So if this is resonating for you, give me a hell yeah, I feel that. And know that this is a safe place. Like so many, the only reason I'm able to describe this is that I've experienced it too. With whether it's a coworker or a boss, a supervisor, a peer, something that just really eats away at you is something that we're working on in this group. All right, so here's the truth. Little truth bomb for you. So few bosses are great people managers. Truth. It's sad, but it's true. So few people are promoted based on their exceptional interpersonal skills, their ability to resolve conflict and grow others. That's just almost laughable in our culture, which is so unfortunate, which is why I'm here. It's your trusty leadership coach to raise the bar on how we manage people, how we grow people, how we stand in a leadership position. So the sad truth is so many people are bosses through default or a void of leadership, and they're never really taught how to manage people in a creative capacity. So there are bosses out there who don't know, don't care, don't see you, are unaware. It's not that they necessarily mean to make people's lives hell, although there's some really toxic managers out there. It's more that the people that are in these leadership roles that you're finding so challenging to work with are unaware or unconcerned with you or with them. What I'm talking about is a sense that it's all about the work and not about the people. I'm talking about managers who are out there who are not really focused on getting results through and with people. They're unaware that that's a talent that can be developed. They're unaware that that's the only real way to get the best results. And they may be unconcerned with growing people below them. They may be unconcerned with how they come across. It's not something that they care about. It's not something that they value. It's not something that they see as a liability to their own leadership. So the sooner you internalize that it's more a sin of just being unconscious to what power can mean and to what leadership development is, the more you realize it's just people cannot read minds. So if you're feeling very taxed and negatively touched at work, you need to say something, because chances are your boss has no clue that that's how you feel. They're unaware or unconcerned. So if the person that you're dealing with is just sort of has low emotional intelligence or is not aware that that you're feeling bruised, you got to say something. So the first tip that I give people, that I've been coaching people on, is to stay in and not fade out. This means you don't turtle shell in, you stay in the conversation with your supervisor, with your boss. You don't just do the 4 S's, I like to say. You get silent, you turn safe, you're seething, and you're sore. That sort of like internal dynamic of digesting this type of stress and holding it in is going to lead to resentment. You have 2 choices. You can be resentful or you can be courageous. Think about that. So if you're ready to be courageous, you're not going to withdraw. You're going to stand up and you're going to say something. And I'm going to teach you a little bit about what you can say. And I know how triggering this can feel, because you feel like all of those things are at risk, right? Your safety, your stability, your social capital, whether or not your boss likes it or dislikes it if you riffle the waters. But you see the toll it's taking on you by staying silent and staying safe. So when you're ready to take action, it's not like you're going to enter some mortal conflict. I think sometimes we build that up in our heads because we're feeling so much intensity in our hearts. It literally is just engagement. You are standing for a positive, constructive conversation. And the way I like to do it is just talk about impact. So if you can talk with your supervisor, your boss, about impact, about how the behavior or the feedback or the culture or the role clarity or the whatever it is that is the source of tension for you, that the impact it's having on you is making you feel unclear or insecure or second guessing yourself or full of doubt or lacking confidence or confused about your jurisdiction. You talk about the impact, and that impact is going to hold you back from producing the results that you know you can get. So if you stay impact focused and results focused in a conversation with your boss and they're reasonable, you're going to start having a more productive way of getting some of this back on the table, so that you're not just holding the hot coal and wanting to throw it at someone else out of resentment and anger. You know, the story of the Buddha, that's a statement that if you hold the hot coal of resentment with an intention to throw it in anger at someone else, you only end up burning your own hand. So we're going to get rid of the hot coal, but not in an angry, aggressive way. We're going to reframe it as having a conversation about impact and results. And you're going to connect more rather than turtle shell in. You're going to realize that standing for your truth and finding a way to navigate and create a conversation around what's difficult is going to make it healthier for you, healthier for your boss, healthier for your coworkers, and ultimately will lead you to the right result. Because I think what's happening for some is if it goes on for so long and if there's such a toxic nature at work, sometimes the only real result, the real honoring yourself result, is to take yourself out of that dynamic and to find a better spot. It's difficult to know that though if you're not going to if you don't give it a try up front, if you don't actually engage with your boss and try to shift the dynamic and give voice to what it is that is so toxic for you. If you're not giving it a go, then when you shift to another job, you still carry that resentment, sort of like PTSD with you. And that's not going to help you either. You really want to combust this. You want to have this be fully resolved in whatever way you can before you move on, if that's the case, if that's the ultimate result. So with your boss, you're going to talk about impact and you're going to connect more, but there's another piece, and it's with yourself. With yourself, you have some work to do too. You want to find better beliefs about your worthiness and about who gets to decide it. You want to have better self-talk so that feeling criticized or somehow feeling diminished at work isn't the result that you suffer because you have better self-talk and better beliefs. You want strong roots so you can be a tall tree. And that comes from self-work. That comes from you knowing your value. That comes from you knowing your strengths. It comes from you knowing clearly what your purpose is so that the circumstances around you have less impact on your mood. It's the highest heights would be that you could still stay with the bad boss and it wouldn't matter because you shifted your self-concept so much to not depend on whether or not you got validation or felt annoyed. I know that's a huge, huge leap, but that's possible. That's possible through also getting better boundaries. And guess what? I teach all of this. This is exactly what I teach in my Confident Leader program, is how to come into full awareness of your strengths, of your capacities, of better self-talk, of rockin' solid beliefs, so that you can lean into conflict and capably resolve it rather than avoid it. You can give direct feedback without worrying about what somebody will think and feel about you. This is where confidence comes from the self first and being hyper self-aware, easily self-managed, so that then you can use amazing rock solid people management skills to navigate the relationships around you. And that's what I do. So if this talk has inspired you, if you feel like, hell yes, I need to shift something, I really would like some of that. I want to feel like I have better beliefs or better boundaries. I want better self-talk. I want to know how to be courageous. All of that is something that I'd like. Then the first step would be to talk to me. It's difficult to have sort of this one forum that's one way where I can't feel your situation. Every person has a totally different situation and totally different thoughts and beliefs and dynamics with what's triggering them. And so what works so well is to get on the phone with me and share with me, what is your story? What is it that's going on for you? Where do you feel like you need assistance? And is it something I can help you with? My wish for you is for you to feel that ease and lightness and fun at work, where you can be yourself, you can be creative, you can take risks, you can mess up, you can forgive yourself, you are forgiven, you can exercise your creativity, your innovation, you can be courageous and authentic, you can speak your mind and say what you think, without worry for all of these things that we're guarded so defiantly against to protect ourselves when we're not safe, when we're feeling fear. So if that's your wish for you too, there are two ways you can contact me. If you're in my group, at the top of my page, in my group, you can find the booking link to have a free call with me. And if you're not in my group, find me at joe@joeleader.com. That's my email address. Shoot me a quick note and we'll find a time to talk. Here's wishing for you to have all the joy and less of the conflict, and for me to help you get there. Go well.